Well, it's Monday. It is the first official work day of the week, and today is Monday, the 14th day in the month of September 2020. It is the second Monday in the month of September, and of course, it is time for the platform, the pinnacle of all discussions, right here on Flow 94.9 FM, the flow of God's own state. Definitely, the program runs every Monday, every Wednesday, and also every Friday. It is the part of the morning show. Also, we take a look at critical issues as it affect our dear nation Nigeria, and also as it affect our dear state Abia State, right on the platform. My name is Michael Oni. Now this morning we're taking a look at extrajudicial killings by security agencies in Nigeria. Well, they are widespread and they go largely uninvestigated and unpunished, and while it is difficult to state the exact numbers, well, it is a common knowledge that hundreds of people at least are extrajudicially killed every year. We're having numerous cases coming up in Abia State. I'm going to run you through the timeline. Over the years, many national and international organizations have expressed their concerns over extrajudicial killings in the country. Just in 2018, if you can remember, the federal government, in response to extrajudicial killings by the Special Anti-Robbery Squad, that's the SARS, set up a presidential panel on special anti-robbery squad reform and the establishment of state and local government police. The report of the committee has not been fully implemented, but that's not the focus today. Let me run you through the timeline of events, very emotional stories of extrajudicial killings in Abia State. I will begin with the recent one. On this month, on the 8th of September, one Mr. Onyekachi Nwogo was allegedly gunned down by an officer of the Nigeria Security and Civil Defense Corps, Inspector Robinson Otobong Abel, attached to the Akwa Ibom State Command of the Corps. Worrisome also is the fact that Mr. Onyekachi Nwogo was gunned down by the security agent right in front of his compound at Umuokoro village along Aba Ikotekpene Road in Aba on the said date. That's on the 8th of September. This is sadly the latest addition to the long list of extrajudicial killings of defenseless citizens of Abia State in an unfortunate circumstance. Well, in case you've forgotten, let me take you back to April. That's on the 5th of April 2020. An officer of the Nigeria Police Force named Inspector Stanley Asu of the Abia State Command, who then was attached to Ohuru Isimiri Police Station Aba team enforcing the said lockdown, shot a citizen identified as just Mr. Chibisi to untimely death. The deceased was said to be working with a filling station near Oruruka off Ogbo Hill in Aba in Obingwa local government area on the said date. That's in April, on the 5th of April. Again, that happened on the 5th of April. Barely 10 days after the Oruruka incident, another tragic death occurred on the 15th of April. That's 10 days after, when and where one Mr. Amobi Igwe, an indigene of Ishiago in Ebonyi State, was shot dead, and this time by an officer of the Nigeria Security and Civil Defense Corps named Eke Richard. The sad thing about this incident was that the fact that Mr. Igwe, a driver, was reportedly said to be on essential duty. It was also during the lockdown period, was reportedly said to be on essential duty conveying foodstuff to places of demand or need as the COVID-19 protocols allowed when this shocking event happened. Well, what about the brutal murder of Mr. Ifeanyi Friday Arunsi? That was on Friday in the same April, 17th of April 2020 at Ebe Mohafia, which sadly triggered a public protest, whereupon a police station, public properties and chattels were set ablaze by angry mob. We thought it was over. On June, that was on the 4th of June, when Christian Onoha decided to hang out with friends in front of his family house in Okwala, here in Afara Oku, just a stone throw to Flow 94.9 FM, the Abia State capital here in Umuahia, where he lived with his mother and siblings. He was just 24. He never knew that it would be his last day. It was 8:30 p.m. A white police truck driving towards Christian and his friends steadily flashed its headlights Not comfortable with the flashes, Christian approached the driver of the truck and asked him to dim the light. That got the cop in the car infuriated, and unfortunately, not comfortable. The angry cop, whose whereabouts cannot be ascertained today, murdered Christian in cold blood. While this rage continued, we are yet to see efforts by different security outfits to stem this tide. This morning on the platform, sharing those stories, actually, I got so emotional this morning, so you will understand the direction this morning. On the platform, we are weighing in on the repeated cases of extrajudicial killings in Abia State and Nigeria. We have a senior lecturer from the Police University, Judicial, Kano, Dr. Ben Odo. He will be joining us this morning to give us direction on the use of firearms, or the popular Force Order 237, which I'll also be speaking with Ruth Okubeni of a Clean Foundation, another civil society activist, Nelson Wafo, and Abia State Commissioner for Information, Chief John Okiyekalo. So it's going to be a very interesting conversation this morning on the platform right here on Flow 94.9 FM. Some persons call it killing at will. We have the Honorable Commissioner for Information. Let's take it from the government angle before we take the civil society activist, and of course we finalize the discussion this morning with you, the listener. We have the Honorable Commissioner for Information joining us this morning, Chief John Okiyekalo. Good morning to you, Honorable Commissioner. Seems to have issues with the connection there. Hello, good morning to you. Honorable Commissioner, I can hear you. Good morning to you.
Good morning.
Oh, great. You're welcome to the platform. I'm sure you are aware of what we're discussing this morning on the platform. We read your initial reaction to the latest incident, but beyond the usual condemnation and maybe a visit to the bereaved families, what does the security heads tell the governor when they meet during the Security Council for the killings?
They discuss security matters, and whatever they discuss during security are not for public consumption.
Okay, when you say they are not for public consumption, the same public are worried about the incessant killings, especially extrajudicial killings by our various security agencies in Abia State.
Yes, the government is also very, very worried about this series of extrajudicial killings, particularly with regard to the fact that we have not seen successful prosecution, and the governor has made it clear that that will not be tolerated at any level going forward. Whoever kills an Abian under any illegal circumstance must answer to the law. And with regard to the instance involving the young man at Umukoro, we think that we are hearing the same excuses that we heard when someone was killed, a driver of tomatoes was killed at Umuka, and we were told that he was struggling for the weapon, whereas images received from social media showed the late driver sitting in his vehicle. How do you struggle for security officers' gun sitting down inside your vehicle? Was that gun pointed at him from close range? So some of these things, they are annoying. Honestly speaking, we cannot continue to tolerate this. There are due processes involved in resolving disputes, including disputes between civilians and security agents. When officials of those security agencies go ahead to attribute deaths to things like struggling for weapons without due investigation by the police, we are even more worried. It looks to us as effort at exculpation, effort at cover-up, and what we are asking for is that the police should do due diligence, conduct due investigation, and then let us find the truth. Whoever is culpable must be punished.
Okay, Honorable Commissioner, you will agree with me that the life of every citizen rather, of Abia State should not be wasted by security agencies, police, army, civil defense, among others, because these agencies are saddled with the responsibility of protecting lives and properties. Now,
Exactly.
the issue on ground is the investigations conducted by these various security agencies. Now, it looks like we've not heard much about those being prosecuted. Is Abia State government satisfied with the handling of investigations into the cases?
We are not satisfied with the fact that nobody has been tried for this murder. And we want to use this opportunity to call on the police to ensure that the police officer that killed an Adian at Afara area, the one that shot an Adian at Abai, the one that the soldier that killed an Adian at Ohanze Junction, the civil defense officer that killed the tomatoes driver, and the one that killed the young man at Umuokumokoro, that they are all prosecuted. Let the law take its full course, and as a government, we will ensure that the law takes its full course. We will ensure that the right thing is done, because we don't want this thing to continue. And until someone is adequately punished for these things, then it will continue. We will not tolerate any further killing of any Adian extrajudicially for any reason at all. While we continue to support security agencies to do their work under circumstances that are sometimes extremely difficult, we want them to remember that there are regulations regarding the deployment of arms and ammunition. Even in combat zones, even during wars, there are regulations involved. You just don't point your gun and shoot at an unarmed person. Now, if you are claiming Indian threat, get the body of evidence proof that there was a threat to the life of the security agent, and that security agent acted to save himself. But not where your men kill someone, the first thing you say is that they were struggling for gun, knowing that they just don't talk for themselves. Meanwhile, we are looking at the circumstances around there. You said there was a crowd there, and that the crowd at Umuoko was the reason why you shot into the air and killed someone who was struggling for your gun, and you had the time to carry the dead body of that person.
Honorable Commissioner, so we can now say that justice has not been served in any of these incidents.
Not conclusively served in any of these incidents, and it makes everybody sad.
Is the Abia State government following the level of investigations being carried out by the security agencies?
Yes, indeed, the governor called on the relevant agencies to do the needful. The governor is working actively with the commissioner of police to conduct a swift and thorough investigation in the instant case. We have confidence that the police will be able to come up with the true story and prosecute whoever is culpable. So the governor is personally leading the charge to ensure that justice is done.
Okay, extrajudicial killings in Abia State is a situation that needs to be faced immediately. I mean, it needs it needs to be faced by the government just immediately, because we've seen issues. We've had more than 4 or 5 killings in this year alone. Would it not be high time the government reached out to high command of these agencies to address the situation?
We are exactly doing that, both in Abia and in Abuja. We are exactly doing that, and we'll continue to do that. But at the same time, we also will not want citizens to take the law into their hands. We will not encourage citizens to engage in any altercation with an armed security man for any reason at all. We will continue to condemn in totality any act that brings to harm any security agent that is lawfully performing his duties. But at the same time, we will not tolerate extrajudicial killing of any Abian.
All right, Honorable Commissioner for Information, thank you very much for your time this morning and also letting us into the government's angle of this unfortunate incident in Abia State.
Thank you, Michael, and thank you, wonderful people of Abia State.
All right, that's Chief John Okiyekalu, the Honorable Commissioner for Information in Abia State. And this morning, if you're joining for the first time, of course, if you're tuning your radio station, it is Flow 94.9 FM, the flow of God's own state. This is the pinnacle of all discussions, the platform, Monday edition, the first official workday of the week. And of course, we're looking at the extrajudicial killings. Some persons will call it killing at will, extrajudicial executions, and other unlawful killings by security operatives in Nigeria, especially as we focus, especially in Abia State. The most disheartening of these extrajudicial executions, other security issues in the state is that those security agents who perpetuate these acts are not properly investigated with a view to meting out proper punishment on them, aside from arresting them and discharging them from service. That's actually the initial punishment being meted out to them anytime we have such a case. Such cases in Abia. The proper judgment is yet to be served on these trigger-happy officers, which may be one of the reasons these extrajudicial killings has persisted, because these officers are not served with proper punishments. And what we'll be asking, I gave you the timeline, the one that only in April we had like 3 in Abia State. And then we had one in the month of June, another one in the month of July, and of course another one in the month of August. Then we had the latest one that happened that involved the officer of the Nigeria Security and Civil Defense Corps, NSCDC. It happened there in Obingwa local government. We have Dr. Ben Odo joining us this morning. Dr. Ben, good morning to you.
Good morning, Oni.
Michael, yes, you're welcome, Doctor. Well, we are really worried with the spate of extrajudicial killings in Nigeria. So, at what point is a policeman or any other security agent expected to pull the trigger?
Thank you, Michael. Good morning, ladies audience. The Nigerian police. Let's look at the concept of extrajudicial killing, and the point where a policeman is permitted to pull the trigger. Are you with me?
Yes, I'm with you, Doctor.
Yeah, if a policeman or any security man kills a person without any sanction of any form of judicial proceedings or legal process, we can refer to it as extrajudicial killing. Now, under our Order 237 of the First Order, which is the rules for guidance in the use of firearms by the Nigerian police, a police officer may use the firearms only on 5 conditions. The first condition is when the police officer is attacked and his life is in danger, and there is no other way of saving his life, then he is permitted to pull the trigger or use the firearm under the order. The second is when the police officer is defending a person who is attacked, and the police officer believes on reasonable grounds that he cannot otherwise protect the person attacked from death, from dying. The third is when it is necessary to disperse rioters or prevent them from committing serious offenses against life and properties. Remember, when we talk about rioters here, the law provides that there must be 12 or more people who have gone into rioting or who have assembled beyond a reasonable time. And the police officer who is going to use a firearm is expected first, before dispersing the rioters, to rule the riot act before using the firearm. That's the only way he can be justified. The fourth condition is if the police officer cannot by any other means arrest the person who is being in lawful custody that escapes or takes flight in order to avoid being arrested, but on the condition that the offense with which the person is charged or has been convicted is either a felony or misdemeanor. And the last condition where a police officer is permitted to pull the trigger in Nigeria is if the police officer cannot by any other means arrest a person who takes to flight in order to avoid arrest, provided the offense is that such accused person is punished with death or imprisonment for 7 years or more. Outside these 5 conditions, no police officer is permitted to pull trigger or use a firearm in Nigeria.
Interesting. I'm so happy that you've taken us through the order 237. That's the police order. That's the manual for pulling the trigger. But do you think there is a cordial relationship between our security agencies and the civil population?
The relationship between the Nigerian police and the civil community in Nigeria, Michael, has been considered by many people, including me, as being unfriendly. So that the men of the police officers of the Nigerian police are often perceived, we perceive them as having sense of irresponsibility and then lack of commitment to their duty.
Okay, Doctor, let's look at the factors now responsible for this unfriendly relationship between the civil population and our security agencies, especially the Nigeria Police Force.
What did you ask?
I mean the factors responsible for the unfriendly relationship now.
Okay, the factors that are responsible for this unfriendly relationship are: number 1 is endemic corruption. Number 2 is human rights abuse. Number 3 is lawlessness. And then
lawlessness in the part of the civil population or the police force itself.
The police force, because they don't obey the law. And you know the reason behind this thing? The reason behind this thing is the enormous powers that have been given to the Nigerian Police Force under Section 4 of the Police Act. And that power makes them to misbehave. And it makes them also to use excessive force in performance of their duty. So they don't obey this law. The criminal code considers unlawful killing of any person as being a crime, and they don't obey this law. The new Administration of Criminal Justice Act of 2015 also makes it also a crime. So they hardly go through this law, they hardly obey this law. So that's why I said lawlessness on their part.
Some persons might also say that the civil society, the civil population rather, they've not been fair to the police force, because approaching a policeman, what you have in mind is the picture of a corrupt individual. What you have in mind is the picture of someone that is ready to take accept bribe from you for whatever reason. But do you think it is just and it is right to approach a policeman on the street like that? I mean, I'm talking about on the part of the civil population.
Yeah, no, I was still coming to that now.
Okay. I
was looking at why there is a strained relationship between the police and the civil population. Now, on the side of the civil population too, corruption and bribe is also one of the reasons for this strained relationship. But what I want to believe that from the evolution and the function of the Nigerian police, the public police are often considered by the civil population as tools of the state, whose loyalty only lies on political elites and their cronies, because the civil society believes that the police in their routine work tend to protect only the powerful. So that is why people who consider themselves as not the powerful go a long way in order to protect themselves, because they believe police cannot protect them. But police are visibly amassing during ceremonial occasion when it has to do with VIPs and not the common folks. So that for me, I believe is one of the reasons.
Interesting. Now, do you think there is a knowledge gap? I mean, the frosty relationship as a result of this type of training that the officers go through. You look at the situation of our police colleges in the country, not in good shape, and of course the type of training they go through. I mean, the police officers.
Yes, I believe that there is a knowledge gap between the civil population and then the Nigerian police force. The knowledge gap is such that, number one, the police officers are not properly educated, given proper orientation on the use of these firearms. And then the society, the civil population are also not properly given orientation as to what police can do and how they can go for how they can help in protection of their rights against being abused by police. You see, let me give you an example, sir.
Okay.
In Ebonyi State, what we did, because we discovered this right, I was part of the people who drafted the bill establishing the administration of criminal justice out of Ebonyi State. There we also, because of this, we created a forum for giving orientation to the civil population and the police, and to know when their rights have been abused by the police. And one of the things we have done is that in Ebonyi State, in the administration of criminal justice of Ebonyi State, is that if a police officer arrests you unlawfully, or if a police officer wrongly arrests you and takes you to physical custody, that police officer is meant to compensate you by forfeiting 1 month of his salary, which must be done through the IG of the Commissioner of Police of the state. That gave them that sense of, oh, we need to protect these people, we need not to abuse them, we need not to infringe on their rights.
Doctor, do you think that can work in this country, where if you know too much in front of a policeman, you are in trouble? That's just the fact. When you quote the law,
most of these people, especially the SARS, that commit this extrajudicial killing, are not too late. When we have police education, when we have police community relation education and awareness, so most of them, they believe that what they are doing is that they are discharging their police work, their duties as police officers, and the reasonable force that is also provided for under the Police Act. So they don't even know that they're even committing crime. That's why they need to be properly educated, reoriented. Most of them are just recruits. I just came out with the first living certificate and they are recruited into the Nigerian police force. You can hardly see any graduate who is a police officer being involved in extrajudicial killing. That's why I am advocating for this proper education and reorientation of the police recruitment.
All right, Dr. Ben Odo, thank you very much for joining us this morning on the program, the platform on Flow 94.9 FM. Doctor is in charge of the legal clinic at the Police University in Kano. He's also a lawyer, a barrister. Thank you very much for joining us this morning, Dr. Ben.
Thank you for thanking me, Michael.
All right, you're welcome. Oh, you've heard Dr. Ben Odo, of course. He's a stakeholder as far as police force is concerned. And one might be asking, why are you focusing, why are you talking, emphasizing on the police force? Well, that you should know. You should provide an answer to that yourself, because of all the extrajudicial killings that we have in Nigeria, the Nigeria police force has been the most accused of extrajudicial killings. This does not mean that there are no allegations of extrajudicial killings against other security agencies like the Nigerian Customs Service, like the prisons, and the Nigeria Security and Civil Defense Corps. Of course, the latest one that happened, of course, that triggered this conversation this morning happened, and of course it involved the Nigeria Security and Civil Defense Corps. I gave a timeline of events. We're talking about those that have died due to extrajudicial killings in Abia State. Started with the recent one, but let me take you through that again. On the 5th of April 2020, during the state lockdown, I told you how an officer of the Nigeria Police Force named Inspector Stanley Asu of the Abia State Command, who was then attached to Ohuru Isimiri police station in Aba team enforcing the lockdown, shot a citizen identified as Mr. Chibisi to untimely death. Unfortunately, barely 10 days later, there was another incident at Oruruka, a tragic death which occurred. That was on the 15th of April, when and where one Mr. Amobi Igwe, an indigene of Ebonyi State, was shot dead also. Very unfortunate incident. We cannot conveniently forget the brutal murder of Mr. Ifeanyi Friday Arunsi. That was on Friday, April 17 at Ebe Mohafia, which sadly triggered a public protest, whereupon police station, public properties and chattels were set ablaze by angry mob. Not forgetting the one that happened at our backyard here. One Sergeant Collins Apugo shot and killed a young man, Chibike Onoha, right here in Abia State. Well, we have another person joining us this morning. This time around, a civil society activist. Of course, he's from FENRAD. He's going to run me through the full meaning of FENRAD. You're welcome, Comrade Nwafo.
Yeah, good morning, my brother.
You're welcome. Glad to have you join us this morning on the program, The Platform on Flow 94.9 FM.
Thank you. Good to have me.
Oh, great. Now, from reports you have across Nigeria, where can you locate the blame for the unabated killings of defenseless Nigerians by our security agencies?
Actually, it's a very unfortunate situation, and it has been a recurrent decimal that is happening for a very long time, and both the government and the policymakers and the security agents have not been able to see how they're going to find a lasting solution to the increasing trend of extrajudicial execution. So it is a worrisome situation, and I think it is a time up for all the stakeholders to be up and doing to provide a solution, because human life is very sacred and should not be wasted by any person, and it is infringement of the constitution. We give the person, we give the right to life, that nobody has right to take the life of others. So it is a very unfortunate situation, and it is time that all the stakeholders have to be on board.
Okay, Comrade, we've been speaking on this particular issue right from some minutes past 10 a.m. and the blames have been directed to the security agencies now. But you will agree with me that the citizens do have a role to play, do have roles actually to play concerning these unabated killings. The civil population, what should be the role of the citizens in stemming the tide?
I think two things are involved there. There's a legal framework. The security agencies also have what we call the rules of engagement.
That's
because when you are dealing,
the police order 237.
Yes. So they know they should ensure that they have to add some restraints in dealing with the civilians, knowing that they don't have the same orientation, they don't have the same training, and a situation in a country where there is a failure of systems at the institutions, citizens begin to look at the security agencies as a part of the enemy, as a part of the problems that constitute to the issues that the country is having. So that's a very negative perception. And the security agencies also deal with the citizens with a lot of impunity, with no regard to rule of law, with no regard to human rights, with no regard to the fundamental rights of life of that citizenry. So I think the role the citizens have to do is to there should be enough citizens orientation on how to engage with the security agencies, knowing fully well that these people are empowered by the state to enforce the law. The citizens should be properly engaged, to be obedient, to also ensure that they respect the constituted authority. So that's actually the issue. But I think that the whole issue is that there's a failure of systems. There's a failure of institutions, and the citizens begin to see the security agencies as one of their main enemies, and the people who help to destroy the system.
Okay, you have the timeline of events concerning this unabated killings and, of course, extrajudicial killings in Abia State. Why is Abia State so peculiar?
Actually, for their own is so much unfortunate. It's unfortunate because of and the rate of the essential executions increased during the enforcement of the lockdown restrictions, and I think the issue is that the security agencies here are not actually fully aware of the rules and regulations, and they know the bounds, know the areas that they need to go, know the areas they need to stop. They know how to
are you saying they are not well trained?
They could be trained, but they're not up to their responsibility. Because there's a difference of being trained and being doing that a person is being trained for. Because it only take a happy trigger officer to put the rifle on when you are dealing with the civilians. The civilians that you are not that are not armed, the civilians that you know that are defenseless, and at the time of engaging with them, you see them putting the trigger. The trigger on.
Is there a point that a civilian can become confrontational?
Yes, it could be some time. There could be, and that's actually what you said before. Using the rules of using the force order. So when the police will not engage all those processes, you can begin to see the civilians become very confronting, especially a civilian who knows he's right, knowing fully what the security agency or the person that is involved is trying to infringe on his right. So you see him become very confrontational and trying to ensure that he gets is that by so doing, the security agent might react, and it might get to either discharge or something of that nature that will lead to the loss of life.
Comrade Nelson Nwafo, just before I let you go this morning, we need to get reactions from our listener. Some analysts have faulted the investigation process involving some perpetrators within the force. Do you subscribe to maybe an independent inquiry investigation into some of the cases?
Yes, that was actually what Finrad did a statement on. We are preferring a solution. We said that we suggested that there have to be an interministerial task team. This interministerial task team will involve the security agencies, will involve the people in the justice sector, will involve the people in the Women Commission. People, we looked at our existing laws and the legislation. We looked at some of the laws that the police force order, the Firearms Act, and some of the legal instruments that really guide the operation of the security agencies. And then secondly, we have the state justice sector, which should look at the existing law. Any officer that is found wanting, you should find the law.
All right, Comrade Nelson Nwafo, thank you very much for joining us this morning on the program.
Thank you, my brother.
Platform. I do appreciate your analysis. All right, it is time for you to contribute. Let's talk about this unabated killings by our security agencies, especially in Abia State. They are meant to protect us, but what is happening? It is time to contribute. 0808-182-6949 or 0811-605-2949. You can also drop messages on 0906-510-8289. Good morning to you.
Hi, good morning.
Yes, you're welcome.
Thank you. Yeah, this is very Komamuzuku.
All right, welcome.
All right. Well, I won't say this. Brother, the solution to this problem, I think, is periodical mental evaluation of our security men. Most of them engage in hard drug, excessive intake of alcohol. Somebody who handles firearms should not engage himself in taking so much drugs and alcoholic. It's quite unfortunate. Then there should be a mental evaluation periodically on these men. And it will go a long way to salvage this particular situation. Secondly, those security men on the road or streets of our nation should not be on the streets with their guns. There should be a police van or security van with fully armed men. And those enforcing law should go with electric, taser button. You understand? When they are overwhelmed, then those ones who are fully armed cannot come, to quell the situation. But when you see these men on the streets with guns, anything can happen at any time. So I think if this is put into consideration, it will go a long way, in salvaging this ugly situation in Nigeria. Have a nice day.
All right, thank you very much. Have a nice day. Good morning to you.
Good morning, Michael.
You're welcome.
Who's Manoj? I'm calling from Mumbai.
All right.
Michael, the issue remains, your first caller have said it all. Most times the people that are involved in this kind of program will may not be listening to you, because you say if you are not informed, definitely you will be deformed. Most of them are listening to you can listen to the other man that got a doctor and the last person that you called. All of them pointed at one same thing. You see the way the security operatives behave. If it is possible, they should all their weapons. If you are coming after a civilian without arm, you are not supposed to be coming with rifle. Walking before you know it, any like this mistake, they pull the trigger, and it will result to a extrajudicial killing. And the way and the matter that their cases are being judged is the one that is most annoying. They should look into their judges. The people that are perpetrating this evil need to be brought to book. Use one or two persons to set the example, while others will learn from it. Thank you.
All right, thank you. Hello, good morning to you.
Good morning,
yes,
Mr. Mike.
You're welcome. Radio
yes,
Senator.
It's Chief Sebastian
Okay, Chief
from
Sebastian.
Imo State.
Okay, Chief.
So my take is on the shooting of some of our people. Now, if a person commits offense, maybe he was very rude to a policeman or any of the security agencies, why not you shoot at the leg so that the person may even become a lame man and be alive, than shooting person outright with just a risk provocation? You remove a person's life. That's where I'm concerned. People should value life. But life is given by God, not human beings. The person you have shot now, you have lost the responsibility. The family has lost the responsibility that comes from the man. The wife now is a widow. The children are now fatherless. So they should consider that. They should be friends to the right. The policemen, the security agencies should be our friends, not enemies.
Right.
We love them, and they should love us. Thank you very much. I don't have much to talk.
Okay, Chief. Hello, good morning to you.
Good morning, Michael.
You're welcome.
Yeah, Charles from Omania here.
All right, Charles.
Yeah, my own suggestion is that the police should be serious with what they are doing. Starting from the training and then the proper care of their workers. You can see that most of all these things are done by those of the lower cadre. And like some people have pointed out, the major problem is that the issue of drug. I think what the force should do is that they, from time to time, check those who have these drugs in their system and sack them. Yes, like we do in sports and some other, where we now have equipment and machines that can detect those who are taking drugs and taking too much alcohol and things like that. They should get them and sack them. And again, I think the minimum qualification for recruitment in the force should be a first degree holder. Okay. And not when you get somebody who is from the elementary 6 or something like that. Because I know that by the time somebody goes through all these institutions of learning, you will know the value of life. And then on the side of the people,
all right, quickly,
they should know that most of these things, if you look at most of them, it is when people get angrily. When people get angry, backed by the alcohol in them, they should know that somebody who is carrying guns.
All right, you should wrap up your thoughts now.
To life. And then they should know how to behave when they get to them.
Okay.
And avoid confrontation with them.
Thank you very much. Hello, good morning to you.
Yeah, good morning, Michael.
You're welcome.
Yeah, it's Alvan. I'm calling you from Burnley.
Okay, Alban.
Yeah, it's still centered on the level of training given to these people. You know, they should raise the level of training. It's not just go to police college after 2 or 5 months, you release these people and they start to carry guns. So they should give them proper training, and even the training when they're on duty. And again, it's wrong for you to see an officer, you know, drinking in a beer parlor with gun. I think such attitude, they should discourage them from such attitude.
Okay.
And we, the citizens, you know how to confront somebody with a gun. Just like what the Commissioner for Information says. Somebody carry with a gun, you know the level of engagement or argument you know, engage the person. You don't even need to drag much with the person. Because anything can happen. You need to be alert before talking about telling your story.
All right, thank you very much, Alvan. Good morning to you.
Michael, good morning.
Yes, you're welcome.
On the line.
Okay.
I believe one of the problems is from the government, because a government that has been giving them morale that nothing is happening. Let me give an instance. When the state government was making a case with the police as regards to the fuel attendant that was shot at Obo Hill by a police officer during this COVID-19 era, remember that Lai Mohammed said that such a thing did not happen in Abia, that no police officer that killed. He had to take Abia state government again to make a press release as regards to that, regarding Lai Mohammed and federal government, that it was a police officer that killed that patrol attendant. So what am I trying to say? You can now imagine where a learner will be driving and see a road safety officer along the road. The person will be jittering because of the kind of power that have been given to them, the kind of morale that have been given to them. You can now see if people can be afraid of road safety men on the road. If eventually they have been giving gun as they have been asking for gun, they'll be shooting as if that they are the owner of the country.
All right, quickly wrap up your thoughts.
They should understand that the gun is for them to safeguard us, not to kill us. We no longer want to tolerate this judicial killing in the country, talk more of the state. And whoever that is involved should dance the music. Thank you.
Okay, thank you very much. And that's how far we can go this morning on the program, The Platform, on Flow 94.9 FM. The Flow of God's own state. Hopefully something will be done, and of course to curtail these unfortunate incidences of extrajudicial killings, especially in Abia State. For records, we reached out to security agencies here in Abia State, but they opted out of the discussion, so let it be on record. Thank you very much. Many thanks to the producer of the program, Samson Eze, and also many thanks to the video guys for making it possible this morning. Don't forget to catch the episode of this program on our YouTube page, Flow FM TV. The program returns on Wednesday. My name is Michael Oni.